We thought we'd arrived at Crinan in time for the last lock-in. However, reading small print, this was only available by prior arrangement. There was no response on the radio, and the fishing boats had already moored up for the night, so we went round to the harbour to pick up a mooring. We stuck to East Coast rules and selected a vacant private mooring. Wearmouth picked up a visitor's mooring belonging to the boatyard, which were advertised at £10 the night, where they were charged a rather exorbitant £20 the night. The next day brought a lovely morning. We slipped the mooring at 0750 and dropped anchor off the entrance to the sea lock, where we could see straight into the lock and into the lockkeeper's office. I had thought Vic 32, the Vital Spark, was the only puffer left, but it looks as though the yard was doing up another one. We never did get the lockkeeper on the radio, but we made contact by phone and he instructed Wearmouth and us to lock in together. I had heard that Crinan had a shiny new toilet block, but when I inquired where they were, the lockkeeper just pointed up the hill to the public loos, which, to put it bluntly, were disgusting. Apparently the canal facilities reopened a couple of weeks later after repairs. As Wearmouth had locked in with us, we thought we'd be doing the entire canal together. But there was already an Irish yacht waiting in Lock 14, who they paired us with. Wearmouth followed hard on our heels, generally just one lock behind. The Crinan end of the canal is the most attractive, and after a mile or so the view opens up over the head of the lock and the River Ad. The canal is 9 miles long, has 15 locks and 7 bridges. There's a small marina at Ballinlock, but this is not available to yachts just transiting the canal. If you want to stop, you use the pontoons outside the locks. In 2015, it was made compulsory to have an attended passage, with a member of staff on each boat. The transit charge was doubled to pay for all the extra staff. This turned out to be a disaster. Transit times went up dramatically, with inexperienced staff who took long breaks and didn't stay for long. For 2016, they've gone back to self-help on the locks, with only the bridges and the sea locks manned. Prices, however, did not fall back to 2014 levels. I chose to video locking into number 11. Unfortunately, this wasn't one of our most successful, as the lock gate seemed to have a mind of its own and was always trying to swing closed. With just Matthew on the boat, throwing the mooring line up wasn't very successful. He tried offering them up on a boat hook, but I objected to that, as I ended up kneeling down and getting filthy. In the end, we settled on this system of a light drop line with a loop in the end. Matthew would pass a bight of the mooring line into the loop and hitch it off. I then lifted it up, dropped the bight onto a cleat, and then went to repeat the process at the front. This proved to be both simple and 100% reliable. As you approach the end of the canal at Ardossan, you can see over the town of Loch Gilliped and into the waters of the loch itself. We were lucky and managed to get the final berth on the pontoon on the west side of the basin. Wearmouth was given the entrance to the old bricked up second sea lock.
Needs a good run, doesn't it? Oh, it's got some prop kick in it.
Paul had bought the boat in Sunderland and was taking it to Bangor on the Menai Straits, where he intended to convert it to take tourists through the straits and perhaps around the island. He already had a larger version of the same thing, which he was converting into a home. So, as his dad said, Wearmouth was effectively just a tender. That evening we invited Wearmouth's crew over for a drink, but at the edge of the basin the midges were working themselves up into a feeding frenzy. I don't usually have a problem with midges, but Ardossan midges must have been on steroids that night, so we retired over to Wearmouth on their private island. Their plan for the next day was to head for Campbelltown, before pushing on to the Isle of Man, and then Bangor. They were just hoping it stayed as calm as it had been for the last few days. Otherwise, with three of them crammed into the tiny wheelhouse, it would not be pleasant in a rolling sea. We joined them in the sea lock the next morning, where the midges were still causing a problem. On the way out of the harbour, Wearmouth had one last opportunity to squash a yacht. Someone entered dangerously close to the breakwater. But with the helm hard over and full reverse, they managed to avoid them. The yacht coming round the point. Anyway. We were heading east of Arran to Ardossan, whereas Wearmouth was sticking to the shore heading west. So before they finally disappeared from view, we exchanged a radio call wishing each other a good passage, and thanks to their company over the last 5 days. Ardossan Marina couldn't be more convenient for a connection to Glasgow, as it effectively has its own station. The boat lift even has to go around the end of the train to get to the yard. Phantom was booked in for the rest of the summer, and a fortnight later Matthew flew back with a repaired autohelm head. Unfortunately, that failed after 20 minutes, but a new replacement arrived within a couple of days, and that seems to be working okay. Matthew and Maureen hope to spend August up there now.